Welcome. We're back. I think my lighting's a little bit weird for some reason right now. Whatever though. Welcome back to the stream. Red day in the market. Red day for Bitcoin, a bunch of cryptos. Silver was also red today. Early in the morning we had CPI numbers come out, I believe. I didn't look into much except for like the charts and everything. But you know, people were not too pleased with, I guess, those numbers. Even later in the day we saw a little bit of a pullback in the afternoon. But yeah, red day overall. Just gonna look at Bitcoin while people are hopping into the stream. Let me just say one thing though. Getting 10 likes like within the first minute of going live is amazing. Like I didn't even say anything yet, so that's a great way to start the stream. 13 likes now. That's right off the rip. Everybody already knows what to do. 15 now. That's crazy. Like there's 15 likes and only 23 people in here. It's a pretty good percentage. So really appreciate that. Without me even saying anything, those are great vibes coming in. Even on a red day. 17 likes now. We usually take like 20 minutes to get to 17 likes, so thank you, really appreciate that. We got 30 people in here as well. Let's just look at Bitcoin really quickly, then I'm going to talk about the stock market. There are some bearish technicals still. For the short term, obviously I'm still a long-term bull. Then we're going to talk about meme stocks. We're going to talk about AMC and GameStop, which were red. We're going to talk about Clover, which was red. I'm going to actually talk about one other stock that I'm keeping an eye on going into tomorrow. It's a mystery name for right now, but I'll talk about it in about 15 minutes. And then after I cover everything like the ongoing trades, which all this should take me about 25 minutes. After I cover everything I want to talk about, we're going to do ticker requests in about 25-30 minutes. So don't drop any tickers in the chat just yet. We're just going to start with Bitcoin, which again, there's not much for me to say. With Bitcoin, you're still within this 30K to 40K range. Not too much is happening. The MACD on the daily is moving back towards red. On the 4-hour, it is still within a falling wedge. There's no divergence. At this current time on Bitcoin, I literally have no clue whether it's bearish or bullish. I mean, I guess a bullish case would obviously be you're in one of the best uptrends ever that an asset has ever seen in history. And then maybe the bearish variable would be a lot of people worried about this potential head and shoulders looking structure. For right now, as long as it's above 30K, there's not much that I'm worried about, but obviously there's also not too much of any bullish signals on the chart. Let's talk about the overall stock market now. Probably gonna talk about this for about 5-10 minutes, then we'll talk about Clover and AMC and GameStop and the mystery chart that I want to look at, as well as Wish. We're gonna talk about Wish. Trade did not work out too well. Wasn't a crazy loss, it was like 4% loss or whatever. But yeah, Ethereum, yeah, same thing for Ethereum. Just to go over it really quickly so we can get the crypto done with. Ethereum, actually, I like Bitcoin right now more than I like Ethereum. I don't like how Ethereum broke its 200-day moving average yesterday. There's kind of hidden bearish divergence on the daily. I mean, if Bitcoin, you know, pivots to the upside, of course, Ethereum will probably follow. So I don't know. I don't really like Ethereum under 2K. I mean, 2000 was resistance in February, support in April, support in the beginning of this month, and then it broke that. So I don't know, unless it reclaims 2K, I'm not too sure. But let's talk about the overall market for just a few minutes, because obviously that affects all the stocks that you're trading. Then we're going to talk about Clover, AMC, GameStop, and all those names. Let me see if I missed anything in the chat. What's up, everybody? What else we got? Max says green, red, blue, purple, I'm here. That's exactly what I love to see, right? The real traders show up no matter what's happening in the market, no matter how they're doing personally. As a trader, if you want this to become a big part of your life, you have to just show up. You don't even have to trade all the time. You shouldn't be trading all the time, especially when there's no good looking things that you can identify. What you always have to do is be aware of what's going on in the market and waiting for opportunities to arise. And shout out to everybody. I mean, you know, on red days, usually we only have like 20 people in here. We already just touched like 40, so that was great. The auto used cars numbers were crazy as well. Better freeze talking about that in the chat. Anything else I missed before we talk about the market? Max will talk about Wish in about 10 minutes. Drew says slaughtered on options lately, gonna go back to common stocks. Yeah, I mean, if you're on a rough streak, definitely that's something I do personally. If I'm on a rough streak, start, you know, taking my foot off the pedal until I get a better footing, until I start seeing some better results in the short term. You always just got to make sure, you know, when you're doing well, to optimize as much as you can, make as much money, and when you're not doing well, you got to focus on playing defense and really keeping those losses small. Fortune, I'm not even gonna really read that. I don't really talk too much about all that on the stream. Just look at the charts. Max says still take losses, still pretty much where I started. Got to learn my style, still learning. Yeah, it'll take time. Just keep your head up, and just keep working at it. And yeah, let's talk about the market. Let's look at the charts for a little bit. Red day for the S&P, for the Nasdaq, for the Russell 2000, for the ARK ETF. So red day across the board, even on the Dow Jones. Even the US 10-year bonds were down. So red day everywhere. If we go over to the 4-hour on the S&P 500, you have classic bearish divergence on both the MACD and the RSI. I do think I've been saying this for a while now, and that's what's kind of annoying. I don't like, saying things forever, but we've been seeing the same exact variables on the Nasdaq and the S&P for weeks now, right? It's, we saw it over here. We saw that bearish divergence towards the middle of June, and then we got a pullback over here, and then we just ran up again, and now we're showing the same bearish divergence. So we'll see if this leads to another extended pullback. You do have a gap fill on the S&P at 42.39. Or no, 40, sorry, I just messed it up. You have a gap fill on the S&P at 43.29. So there definitely is short-term room to the downside. You're not overbought anymore, but you just were overbought not too long ago. Obviously, the trend is still bullish. Short-term, mid-term, and long-term, you're still making higher highs and higher lows. So I'm not saying I'm bearish. I don't think there's going to be a crash, but the oscillators are saying right now that you might be short-term overbought. And historically, this has led to pullbacks multiple times this year when we see these types of setups on the oscillators. Moving on to the Nasdaq, you have a lot clearer divergence. It's actually on the daily instead of the 4-hour, which gives it a higher probability, but you have some pretty real bearish divergence on the Nasdaq, as well as the QQQ. Tech just had a really, really good run. A lot of stocks went very crazy, very fast. Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, you name it. And I think, it's not really super realistic for this to just continue forever. I think you're getting to a point where you're starting to see a little bit of hesitation in this area. You still are having good movement, but one pull can easily turn into something different. So, I'm not necessarily like a bear right now, but I think it's definitely, we're in an area for the S&P and the Nasdaq and the QQQ where I think it's looking a little bit overbought, right? Now the crazy thing is, like, you still have been going up ever since the beginning of May, but for small caps and mid caps and more speculative stocks, this whole entire month has been pretty rough for EVs and pot stocks and a bunch of different types of smaller sectors compared to large cap tech. All of July has been like pretty bad, and I'm sure a lot of people know what I'm talking about. So it'll be interesting, because if we do get the pullback on the Nasdaq and the S&P, which we haven't even really gotten yet, what will happen to the meme stocks and the retail stocks that have already dropped so much? Are they going to go against what the S&P and the Nasdaq are doing if they decide to fall, or are they going to fall even further, right? It's kind of a similar situation to what we had back in the middle of February up until the beginning of May. Hopefully it doesn't last that long, but that's just the market we're currently in. Anything else I want to talk about before we talk about Clover, AMC, GameStop, Wish, a mystery chart? Anything else? We could look at the actual smaller cap indices, or the growth one as well. The Russell 2000, back within this supply line, it continuously is just going above and below it. I don't really know if this even really makes sense to be looking at like that, but all you could really easily tell is you were down 2% for small caps on the Russell 2000 today. Not great. If you look at the ARK ETF, you were also down 2%. So definitely, even though it was a red day for the Nasdaq and the S&P, small caps and growth innovation stocks are definitely underperforming the market still for the last 2 weeks, pretty heavily. So we're going to see. I think on Sunday night stream, I talked about how I'm hoping for a potential rotation from those large cap tech names that just ran like crazy back over into retail names and not meme stocks necessarily, but growth stocks and mid caps. Like we saw from May to June, it was a great month for those types of stocks, but July so far just hasn't been. So we have to see. I mean, what I'm really hoping for is we get a day where the S&P and the Nasdaq are down, but we see the Russell is up and the ARK is up. That would be a great sign. We haven't really gotten that yet. So for now, just got to take it day by day, and we'll see what tomorrow brings in the rest of the week. let's talk about some stocks now. We're going to talk about Clover first, then we'll talk about AMC, GameStop, and Wish, and then I'll talk about another ticker that I'm looking at in the short term. But Clover, probably talk about this for a few minutes. I put out a trade idea on Friday. It was up like 4% yesterday at the close, the trade idea or the trade setup, and then today it was down 4%. And Clover itself was down 8% today. So believe it or not, despite the very, very rough day for Clover, you did not have that much technical damage. I think the worst part about it is just the fact that you closed under 9, just like the psychological level of 9 on Clover. But you were down 8% today, but you're still developing the hidden bullish divergence on the daily MACD, which is good. Even on the 4-hour, you're still developing the hidden bullish divergence on the MACD. So the oscillators really didn't take any damage today. Also, it closed 1 cent above a very important level, which is this 890 area. As you can see, if we zoom in over here, this 890 area has been a pretty important area. It was resistance on it was your candle high on June 2nd. It was around your high on May 7th, and it was like a 4-day resistance back from March, as you can see right over here. So you did close above your previous resistance. Also, I just charted this, but if you could create like a little bit of a demand line from this little 1 week in May, you actually did kind of bounce off of that area. And then on the 1 hour, you hit the pattern completion zone of a bullish crab. So yeah, I think I have another harmonic on this. This is the 1 hour chart, but if we go over to the daily, this is the same type of pattern. This is a bullish crab. This is on the daily time frame, so it's a much larger pattern, much more meaningful pattern. But this whole entire move from $6 to $28 started with a bullish crab. It really did. And I put out an idea literally on this day. On March 5th, I put out a trade idea on Clover at $7, and that's where kind of all this started. It was the same exact type of pattern. You got down to the 1618 from the X to the D, and now you have the same pattern, but again, it's only on the 1 hour. It's not as large as the daily one, but it's the same pattern, and you actually did hit the pattern completion zone roughly on the 1 hour chart. So we'll see if that means anything. Let me just put the shark back on my chart. It's going to take forever. All right, there we go. So going into tomorrow for Clover, I mean, if I'm going to be honest, this is the area in terms of the idea of this trade idea. I just said idea a lot, but in terms of this setup, I really hope Clover can have a green open tomorrow, because this is the area I want Clover to hold. If it doesn't hold this area at the close tomorrow, that's why the stop loss is a few percent below it. The idea of the trade was holding this, right? And now we're testing it, and we held it for the close. It was down 1% after hours. So if it breaks this level, then the stop is not too far under. Again, you know, we've had good trades and bad trades with Clover. Right now, there's a lot going on with it. There was a downgrade yesterday. There was lockup expiration last week. It's being heavily shorted. It has been for pretty much this whole year. So many different things up in the air, and there's also a lot of bag holders in this stock. So it's not going to be easy. Also, you're still making lower lows and lower highs on every time frame. So it's like, I'm just hoping. I don't know. There's no way for me to know. Thank you, Bush, for the subscription. There's no way for me to know, but I'm hoping. And again, the probability is against, you know, hopium, as Mitch Ray would say, but I'm hoping that this could be a potential reversal area. You're at a pattern completion zone. You have divergence on the 4 hour and the daily. You're also back testing previous resistance. So from a technical standpoint, if there were to be an area for Clover to reverse, I think the technical argument would be literally right where it closed. But again, a technical argument could mean nothing if fundamental variables drop the price or shorts drop the price or whatever it is. So that's really the deal with Clover. We'll see what happens. I just really hope we can get a green day tomorrow and hold above this 890. And obviously there's literally no room for error on, like, in terms of the candle close. Of course, you could go below it intraday and then reclaim it for the daily close, but we'll see what happens, you know? And yeah, that's really it for Clover. Let's talk about AMC now. Was down about the same amount as Clover today. We talked about this $36 price last night on stream for AMC. You're getting pretty close to it. I think it came down to like 37 after hours. It was down like 5% or something after hours. Now again, 36 is the biggest level on the AMC chart that I can see. 36 was your candle low on June 2nd. It was your candle high on May 28th. If we go back to 2016, 36, let me pick this up. 36 was around your highs in 2016. It was really like 35.50 in 2016, and it was your previous all-time high from 2015. So it's a very historical area. 36 is the most important level for me looking at AMC. If AMC can hold 36, eventually you can get hidden bullish divergence to develop on the daily and the 4-hour. If it cannot hold it, then you have a gap fill at 32.40, and then after that there's not much until 20. So I'm hoping AMC can reverse above 35, kind of, but of course it still is making lower lows and lower highs, and it's not really developing any bullish divergence for right now, because again, the MACD it's a lagging indicator. The price dictates where it goes. But it is actually oversold on the 4-hour. The last time it was oversold on the 4-hour, it went from $2 to $20. The last time it was oversold on the 4-hour. Now keep in mind there was a lot of, let's say, apes behind that. So we'll see if the apes show up again. But yeah, you know, that's really it for AMC. Hopefully it can hold 36 on the close tomorrow. And that's really the major level I'm looking at on AMC. Next one is GameStop. GameStop, thank you for all the subscriptions. We might have some new people in the stream tonight. We're going to look at GameStop in a second here, and then we'll talk about Wish. But thank you, Tito and Brandon, for the subscriptions. If you're a new viewer in the stream, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I chart stocks every single night. I'm not biased. I don't have any real opinions. Maybe for Fisker, I'm a little bit biased. But other than that, I just give you unbiased readings of charts based on textbook technical analysis. There's no moon boy stuff on this channel. It's just me talking to you about levels and patterns and divergences, and trying to teach you how you can use technicals to help out your trading, to give you better risk management, to give you better entry areas, exit areas, and overall, I'd say confidence, but also probability alongside your fundamental analysis, as I'm sure many people, you know, use fundamental analysis more. It's definitely a lot more popular. So yeah, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you didn't already. Keep hitting that like button. We got like 50 people in here, which is amazing. Thank you very much. GameStop next. It broke the 188 level. We were talking about this last night on stream. I tried to give GameStop a chance. Personally, I actually did get some, and I paper handed it. It broke 188. 188, I was talking about it last night. That was your previous resistance from April and May from like a few candle highs, and it broke that level today. Unfortunately, there was classic bullish divergence developing on the 4-hour. That's no longer developing. Again, the MACD is a lagging indicator. Same thing on the daily. You had hidden bullish divergence developing on the MACD, but you're kind of stalling out on that for right now. There's still a potential for it eventually, but right now it's not really developing. The MACD needs to start moving back towards green for that divergence to be developing. I don't like GameStop under 188. Under 188, I think there's room back down to 136. That's the next support on the daily. If you can reclaim 188, then maybe I'll be happy with it again. But it was all about 188 for me on GameStop, and that broke today. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. And that's really it for GameStop. Wish, unfortunately, I tried to give it a shot. It wasn't a big loss. I put a tight stop loss regardless, but I did put out a trade idea towards the end of last week for Wish. The entry was like 11.10. The stop loss was $10.60. Obviously hit that today. It's unfortunate, but it just spent multiple days rejecting that 10 or that 11.20 resistance we've been talking about every night on stream. It just couldn't break it. Even yesterday morning, it got above it right at the open, but it never closed any hourly candles above that resistance. You never got confirmation. And today, just pulled back. And again, you know, with Clover and AMC and Wish, it's not really them as individuals. but it's just really the whole entire sectors are just kind of red. I mean, if you look at the Russell, it was down 2%. You look at the ARK ETF, it was down 2%. So, you know, yes, Clover did not do well today, but again, and Wish as well. But again, it's like kind of the whole entire sector. Really, most sectors were down today. I think there were a few, you know, large cap tech names that were still up, but it was an overall red day. And that's how you can breach technical levels. And Wish, it broke out of this little consolidation range. And you know, at this point, I'm not too sure. It broke to the downside. On the 4-hour, your MACD is still losing momentum, but you don't have any bullish divergence. You're back under the $11, very important area. And you still have the hidden bearish divergence that I've been talking about on the daily since this was at like 1350. I've been talking about that hidden bearish divergence ever since it broke out of that rising wedge. So yeah, I mean, on Wish, I hope it does well, but it has to reclaim 11 for me to be more confident in it. So really, with both GameStop and Wish, I think they're under important levels. They can obviously reclaim those important levels with 1 or 2 good days, but for right now they just haven't. So there's not much to really talk about until the price action happens. Next one we're actually going to talk about. I just looked at right before the stream, but I definitely follow a lot of other people in this space, and I've been hearing a lot of people talking about pot stocks over the past few days, and talking about legislation and technicals. And stuff like that. So I decided to look at a few pot stocks before I started streaming. One of them, ACB, looking pretty interesting. It actually did put in a decent move today. It went from 833 to 886, which is a pretty good intraday move. It ended up pulling back towards the end of the day, but on ACB, as long as it can hold above 8, it looks pretty interesting to me. This $8 level on ACB was support back from March of last year. It was support in December of last year, and now it's back above it. There is also on the daily some hidden bullish divergence forming. On the 4-hour, we have classic bullish divergence. So ACB, pot stock, the whole entire sector has not been doing too well for really ever since mid-February. There's been a couple nice weeks for them here and there, but really since February, I mean, when all these pot stocks were just squeezing, you've just kind of been much lower. And yeah, ACB is actually on my watch list for the rest of the week. Not really as like a day trade, but more as like a swing idea. As long as it can continue to hold above $8, nice bullish divergence, pretty easy to manage your risk. I don't know, I just felt like I'd bring it up because it looks really interesting. Hold above $8, and I don't know, maybe tomorrow I'll put out a new trade idea for it. It's still on my watch list. If you ever want my trade ideas, full disclosure, they've not been doing too well this month so far. But if you ever do want them when I start doing a little bit better, the Discord link is in the description, and Cheddar Freeze just also dropped in the chat. So yeah, ACB we'll look at tomorrow, see how it does. Also put out a new trade idea today, which is DOC, still pretty much at the entry. It was developing hidden bullish divergence when I shared this idea, but I pulled back like 0.5% or something, and now it's not. It still is fine for right now. But DOC is in this upsloping channel. It bounced around the 200-day moving average. And really, even if you take away the channel, it's kind of like an ascending triangle, right? So if we just look at it like this, you're making higher lows and you're approaching this sell area, which is pretty bullish price action, right? You're in an uptrend right now. And the hidden bullish divergence, if it confirms, would kind of, what's the word to use for this? Hidden bullish divergence could signify a continuation of an uptrend. So if this can ever break above $19, DOC, I think it has room to 20. I know it's only a $1 move, but this is not a very volatile name. So like literally it's a 3% risk to try and make 10%. It's a pretty small trade in terms of percentage numbers. But you know, I've been scanning as much as I can, and it's just been pretty hard over the past couple of weeks to find good looking swing trade charts. And I've been saying that for 2 weeks. It's not anything new. I haven't been putting out that many swings. On Friday and on Monday, I did put out a decent amount, but apart from that, like really for the last 2-3 weeks, I haven't put out that many swings compared to what I'm usually putting out every single week. So I don't know. This is just, out of everything I had on my watch list, this one kind of looked like one of the best. We'll see if it does anything. DOC. Just to quickly finish the ongoing trades before I look at the chat again. Boeing, I think there was some news or something today, broke back under the demand line. Again, it's really, there was probably news on this, or I think there was news on this, but really it's just not a good market for swing trades, and it just hasn't been this whole entire month. And now, like, especially over the weekend, I was starting to see a few charts that looked pretty interesting, but it's just not the best environment for swing trades, and it just hasn't been this whole entire month. So hopefully that changes soon, but now that I've already put out like a handful of swings, I'm just going to kind of step back for a few days, see how they do, and just wait until we have more data to work off of. ALLO got stopped out. It's just, again, you know, this is the last, probably really this whole entire month. The last like 2 weeks have just not been good for the swing ideas compared to how good May and June were. May and June were amazing. And July just has not been off to a good start. So hopefully we can turn that around. But again, don't want to force anything. Just want to wait until I can see better opportunity. And yeah, just finally PSTH also near the stop. It's broken the supports. It's hanging on by a thread. And this is not an ongoing trade currently, but Fisker, we'll just talk about it really quickly. Pulled back 4% today. Hidden bullish divergence on the daily, no longer developing, unfortunately. Still above the 200-day moving average, just kind of, again, I've been saying this for like a month now, but it's not really in the area that I look for swing trades. I don't really see enough variables like I did back when it was $10 when I put out that was the last alert I put out on Fisker, $10 around like the beginning of May. It was a great trade, played out, and now I'm just waiting until I see a better opportunity for Fisker in the short term. So yeah, futures slightly green here. Bitcoin is at 32.4K. That's really the recap from today. Not too much other than a classic red day across the board. There were a few hot takers, you know, small caps is a lot of like, not even small caps, but like micro caps had a pretty decent day, but that's not really my world of trading. So again, it's just like May and June, I don't like having an ego, but I would say like I crushed it in May and June, but also at the same time, July so far just has been a disappointment, you know, just haven't been able to see good results so far this month in swings, and that's just how it is sometimes. So it's just a patience game, trying to keep the losses small until the things that I trade start doing better, and then we'll pick opportunities and we'll go for them. But again, it's always about the end game. Can't get too caught up in what's happening in the short term. Just got to focus on, you know, where you want to be in a couple years from now, not where you want to be tomorrow. And just each day try and get better and better and better. And hopefully eventually you get to the point that you want to be at, and then you set a new goal, and then the process never ends. But yeah, that's really the recap from today. Keep hitting that like button. Let's get to 40 likes right now if you enjoyed the breakdown from the day. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the stream. Join the Discord if you haven't already. And yeah, give me like 1 second before I look at the chat. Okay. Max says Powell speaking tomorrow at 12 p.m. Fortune says we need another round of stimulus checks and rent and unemployment extensions to keep the plates in the air. I think there was some news about California trying to do like a $600 stimulus this fall. Somebody fact check me if I'm wrong, but I think I just saw that on social media, which again is not something I should be using as a news source, but you know. Chatter Free says saw some put blocks coming on for ARK today, 122 and 112. The 122 is, you know, at the money, but the 112 is a pretty aggressive bet. I don't know what the expiration on it was though. I don't know. ARK, I think it's still fine above the 200-day moving average. Just pulling back for right now. I'll see what this turns into. Tito says, I'm so glad I found you. Awesome info. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Tito. I appreciate it. Bullish or bearish tomorrow? I usually don't really give like next day predictions, like whether I'm bullish or bearish tomorrow. You know, tomorrow is such like a up in the air thing. Typically when I'm giving outlooks on the market, I give like 1 to 2 week outlooks, because, you know, tomorrow is like so close. Any news can come out overnight. And then also if I give longer than like a 1 to 2 week outlook, anything can change by then. So it's like, actually, you know, going into the rest of this week and next week, I think large cap tech is due for a pullback just because of the oscillators. Again, technicals are not certainty, so that's only a probability. We'll see what happens. And yeah, futures red to green. Yeah, futures, I mean, they're barely green, but they are green for right now. I'm not a news source is the top 5 quote, says Jeff O'Connor. Definitely. I said a lot. And then also D says, let me fix my audio. Yeah, I don't know if it's, I don't think it glitches anymore, but used to, every time I used to get a tip, the audio would just like mess up, at least on my end. It's not certainty, just probability. Yeah, I got a lot of things I say quite often for sure. Thank you for the 40 likes, really appreciate it. And yeah, we could probably start getting into ticker requests. I'm probably just going to do 1 round tonight. So I'll give you like 2 minutes to drop tickers in the chat, 1 ticker per person. Everybody knows the rules. Don't request anything that was up over 30% today. Don't request anything that IPO'd within the last month. I'm not going to look at something that was up 30% today. That's not how I trade. I don't like chasing things. I'm not saying you can't do it. It's just how I like, you know, talking about the way that I trade, which is reversal swing trading for the most part. And then also, if you give me a chart with that just IPO'd, I need data on a chart to actually analyze it. So I can't look at something with 1 candle on the chart. And then finally, remember, nothing I say is financial advice. You know, technical analysis is not fortune telling. It's not certainty. It's just probability. And these are all just my opinions. So yeah. Take profits or the market will take them for you. That's definitely probably the best quote I've ever, I don't even know if there's a lot of things I say that I can't tell if I actually made it or if I just heard it somewhere. I forgot where I heard it and I'm just repeating it because I watch so many different YouTube channels and Twitch streams that pretty much do like, you know, similar things to what I do, and just, yeah, I'm all over the place. So I don't know if somebody else said that before me, credit to them. But really cool to see 40 people in here on a red day for the market, on a red month for the swing so far. Again, I'm never too concerned about the short term. There's always going to be ups and downs. I'm just concerned about, you know, making a good amount of money on the ups and losing very little on the downs. And I think, you know, for people who've been here for a while, I think we all could agree that, yes, the last 2 weeks has not been too good for the swing ideas I've put out, but compared to what they were in like the middle of February when growth stocks really started pulling back, it's still a lot better. So I've definitely, even, you know, there's always room for improvement, and I've definitely learned a lot this year about when to pull back and when to have tighter stops on trades, and I think that definitely has helped. Because there were weeks back when we first got those growth stock crashes where it was like 20 red swings. Now it's like, what, 6 or 7 red swings, and most of them are only down a few percent. So it's all about just minimizing your losses when things aren't going your way, and then maximizing your profits when the ball is on your side of the court. Yeah, 42 likes in like half an hour on a red day is probably a record. So really appreciate all the support tonight. Like, honestly, I had really low energy before I went live. I was just, you know, it was a red day. Just wasn't really feeling, you know, super in the mood to chart even more. But the support so far on the stream has definitely revived me for the day, to say the least. Really appreciate it. All right, so RMRK, right? All right, let's get to these ticker requests. I'm gonna put a few dashes in the chat. So after the dashes I just put in the chat, don't drop any tickers. This is probably gonna be the full list. I don't know. We have a lot of vibes in the chat tonight, so maybe after I finish this round of ticker requests, I'll do another round. Just depends on how I feel after them. But for right now, don't drop any more tickers in the chat. Waiting for a tip to pop up. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, we're gonna look at all these tickers you all just dropped in the chat. After I finish these, and after I finish these, I'll decide if I want to do more or not. But we got a good probably 25 that I just typed in. Why is this tip not popping up? I don't know what stream. There it goes. Joel, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. First donation of the night. Really appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. I'm not sure if you sent any other message. Oh, you put W. Okay, so you put Viacom and WGO. We're gonna look at those first. If I can find them on my watch list. So WGO, and then I think I put Viacom. There it is. All right, so we're gonna look at those two first for Joel. Thank you again for the 5. Let's get some vibes in the chat. And then also, I also want to say this. I don't know if I'm gonna disable my YouTube super chats because I know it could be, you know, it might be a little bit easier to tip me through that compared to Streamlabs. But I found out that I think YouTube takes 30% of what's it called, of tip donations through YouTube super chats. And I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty large amount. Streamlabs does not take anything. So if you ever want to, if it's easier for you, I always appreciate the tips. YouTube super chat, if it's easier for you, just go with that. But, you know, if you want to like not give YouTube 30% of whatever you want to tip me, Streamlabs is always there. It's the pinned chat. I think a lot of people just don't really know how to use Streamlabs. It's the pinned chat. So you're in the chat. There's going to be like a little blue banner on the top of the chat with the Streamlabs link. You click on that, and that one actually plays a GIF whenever you send a tip through that. You can use PayPal. You can use a credit card. You could type in a full message. It's a much better platform than YouTube Super Chat. I just think YouTube Super Chat is like, it's literally right in the YouTube app, so it could be easier for some people. But again, 30% cut is pretty. 30% cut is pretty drastic. Let's get into these tick requests. Just wanted to say that, you know, just to make sure everybody knows. Viacom. It's still just showing resistance at this 43 level. It was resistance in April and in May. It broke out of it. It was looking amazing. And then it just got wrecked because, again, most mid caps and small caps have just not been having a good month. So it got wrecked in the beginning of the month. It had a couple good days on Friday and yesterday. I don't know if my audio just glitched out, but sorry if it did. And now it's just kind of showing resistance. I'd like to see Viacom get back above 43. There is classic bearish divergence on the daily, unfortunately. So, I don't know. Get back above 43 and then we'll probably talk about it. But for right now, it's like very, very choppy. WGO. It was looking good yesterday, and then today with the pullback, it kind of ruined a lot of things. Number one, it broke under the 200-day moving average today. Number two, it's getting pretty close to confirming hidden bearish divergence on the daily. So I don't know. It's looking kind of weird now. Even on the RSI, you have the hidden bearish divergence developing. This could get invalidated. Hopefully it does. Hopefully it can reclaim the 200-day moving average. But for right now, 63 is the next support. That's the easiest way to look at it. But yeah, thank you again for the 5, Joel. Really appreciate it. What did I miss in the chat? We got a bunch of vibes coming in. Draft bill gets released. I need to look into what that is because everybody's talking about pot stocks. All the channels I watch, pot stocks is kind of starting to lead its way back into conversations again. Jeff O'Connor says Streamlabs easy after the first time. Yeah, it's a pretty simple. As soon as you hit the link, it's like very straightforward, and they don't take 30%. Audio's good. All right, let's go. All right, we got OCGN next. Let's just run through a bunch of these really quickly. 627 is your closest support on OCGN. That's really all I see. I don't really see a pattern. I don't see much divergence. 627 is your closest support back from your lows in the middle of June. It was also support back from 2019. So that's really all I see on that chart. Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow, just like that. Print head ships. It's not headshots, a little bit of a typo. Print, thank you for the $100 donation. Help to cover some of the commissions from Joel's past tips. Print, you're crazy. Like literally, every so often, just out of nowhere, Print just comes in with a huge tip, and it's insane. Like, and you know what's also crazy about that? Like the last like 2 or 3 times, it's been on like days when I was like so unmotivated. Like I said like 20 minutes ago when I was talking about earlier, like right before I went live, I was like, I'm so tired. I don't want to chart anymore. I don't even know if anybody's going to watch the stream tonight after the trade's not doing well and the market being red. But I always show up no matter what. And that was exactly how I felt like 3 other times. And it's just like, Prince just dropping the vibes. And again, to everybody in the chat, dropping the likes and all the shit. Like the stream tonight has been amazing. I don't like expecting anything from my streams ever, but definitely so much support tonight. Really appreciate it. And Print, thank you for everything. I don't want to like say too much because I know, you know, we've talked like privately about certain things, but like I've told you before, you've helped me out a ton, and by a ton I mean a ton. So I really appreciate everything you do for me in this community, and I want to see 1 million vibes in the chat for Print. So thank you for the $100 tip. Wow, that's crazy. It's insane. We need a song. I need to put like I need to fix my tip stuff. I want to put a new GIF there. I want to get some new audio for sure. But yeah, thank you again so much, Print. I don't know if you dropped any messages in case I missed them. I saw the donation message. Yeah, we got vibes coming in from so many people in the chat. Vibes. Oh, there we go. Print says no problem, and then he says you make me proud, Sonny. Yeah, Sonny's been in the premium chats. Hope he's doing well. This month has been a little bit but we closed off June pretty strong. Thank you again, Print. Seriously, thank you so much. Let's get back to the charting. Water, WTER. There is some hidden bullish divergence developing on the daily, just like that. If it can get above 171, I mean, really like 180. This is like a little bit of like a choppy resistance. You can see like these like 2 orange lines from over here and over here and over here and here and kind of here. This is like a resistance zone. If it can break above it, there's room to 225. Like there's not much of anything between 180 and 225. So if this can cross 180, I mean, 225 would be the next level. It was resistance in 2018. And yeah, I don't know, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't get above that area, let's go over to the 4-hour. Even that's really gappy. I would honestly say the strongest support that I kind of see, maybe around like 137 from this low over here and this low over here, so which is quite far away. So it just depends on which way it breaks. Appreciate that, Sonny. Yeah, this month again, you know, just not been the Scrooge with a $30 tip. Oh, what is this is crazy. This is actually crazy. Thank you for all the tips tonight so much. Scrooge, thank you for yet another donation. $30 tip from Scrooge. Let's get more vibes in the chat. Rain or shine, the vibes never quit, says Scrooge. Thank you for, I don't know if I'd say metaphor, but thank you so much, Scrooge. Let's get some vibes in the chat for Scrooge, for Print, for Joel, for Steven from last night, for everybody supporting the stream. Get some vibes in the chat, all right? Let's get some vibes in the chat. You know, just because the market's red doesn't mean we can't look at the charts and just have a good time on the stream. So thank you so much, Scrooge. And we got a lot of vibes coming in really quickly. This community is insane. It's just crazy to see what all this has turned into in under a year. Thank you to everybody for changing my life, like really. And so much more to come for sure. Vibey stream tonight for sure, yeah. And then Saturday, I go out to Miami for a month. Still gonna be streaming every weeknight. So we're gonna get Miami vibes soon. I might put a new overlay on the stream for when I'm in Miami. I don't know. Depends on if I have time. But yeah, vibes in the chat. Let's get back. We got a lot of tickers we still got to look at. Upstart, I like it above 115. That's the horizontal support ever since the middle of June. MACD on the daily, it was looking really good. Crossed over to green. Now it went back to red because, again, lagging indicator. We'll see. I mean, as long as it stays above 115, I still like Upstart. And then resistance will be like 134. So it just depends on whichever way it breaks. But it still is in this upsloping channel and above support, so it's still fine for right now. BBIG is next. Let me just delete everything. Hidden bullish divergence is developing on the daily. It also broke a little bit of a, maybe a mini falling wedge, we'll call it. It kind of broke it yesterday, and now today it might have been back testing it. It also filled a gap today. So I think if, you know, if it can hold above 375, which was a low from June 4th and June 17th and June 30th, if it can hold 375, I think BBIG looks pretty interesting going into tomorrow. There still is a lot of chop here. I mean, you have resistance at $4.16. Let me try and zoom in a little bit. You even have classic bullish divergence on the 4-hour. So, you know, looking at BBIG in a new way, it does look pretty interesting as long as it can hold 375, which is a 5-cent risk amount. Very, very interesting. I'm going to keep this on my watch list for the rest of the week. It was down a lot today, but we'll see. Come on. And I need to make sure ACB is on as well. All right. So now we got VISL, one of the worst swings I've ever put out. It was a pretty loose stop, and it did get stopped out. Right now, I don't really see much. It's kind of in the middle of support and resistance. I don't really see any divergence or a pattern. I could see this going either way. I mean, it's right in between support and resistance of this range. No clue, like really no clue on this one. Sorry, I gotta move on. I wish I saw more, but I just don't. LAC, I think it's pretty fine for right now. It actually ended up bouncing. It had a huge bounce off the $13 support, which is what we were looking at the last time we looked at this chart. Went all the way back up to 16, pulled back today in a red day for the market, but still closing above this little choppy area you had. You could see that it closed pretty much above all the candle bodies from right here. So could be like a back test day. This also could be pretty interesting going into tomorrow. Maybe it could be looked at as a bull flag, but the low time frames are pretty gappy. Actually, it's not too bad. This is something I'd be watching tomorrow morning. As long as it can hold above 1457, it could be pretty interesting tomorrow. I mean, obviously it depends on the market and everything. There's no way to know until tomorrow, but could be trying to do a back test, and then eventually 1672 is your next resistance. You just got to continue holding above the 200-day moving average, but very, very nice price action for the last week. MMAT, I actually shared this in the Discord in the trading chat today. I'm personally not touching MMAT, which I believe I also said, and the reason I'm not, because this thing just went from 21 to 3 in like a few weeks. That I don't know. Like I always say, as a swing trader, I don't really like trading things that go straight up or straight down. Now I know right when I say that, people are gonna say, what about Clover? Well, Clover, I've been playing lower time frames on Clover for the ideas, and now for the first time on Clover, you're actually getting a different type of setup where you have the hidden bullish divergence on the daily and the 4-hour, and you're back testing a previous resistance as support. And MMAT is not too different from that. You actually have a potential for hidden bullish divergence on the daily, which I talked about in the Discord. Same thing on the 4-hour. It bounced right off the 200-day moving average today. And if we go to the daily again, it bounced off of this major historical zone. You could see ever since 2015, this whole entire yellow box has been resistance. Today it actually was support. So on MMAT, I don't see any harmonics or any patterns, and this is a very ugly drop. It is trying to catch a falling knife if you're entering this. But you know, similar to Clover, if there's any area where there's a higher probability of seeing a bounce, I think would be the area on MMAT. It's just I wish there was more of a pattern. And I don't think you can get any harmonic out of what it just did. So I don't know what the news was behind this. I think there was something between this company and what was the other company's name? Torch Energy, Torchlight. And did they merge? And reverse takeover to list on the NASDAQ. A 1-for-2 reverse stock split confirming its merger with Metamaterials. So some sort of a merger or something happened, I believe, with this, and pretty much dumped the price. So yeah, I mean, this is on my watch list, MMAT. We'll see what this does off of this area, but it's very interesting. Even if you don't want to trade it because of how volatile it is, it's just at a very interesting area. I just want to see how this plays out, you know, without even really trading it. I just want to see what this turns into. Maybe I'll trade it, maybe I won't. For right now, I'm not in it. We'll see. I think that would be I don't know if I'd call that a backup though, Bandman Danas. That would be a very extreme backup, you know, dropping from like 20 plus to 3. But yeah, I don't know. Jeff says, some news about Senate Democrats expanding Medicare seem to hit the wire. I don't know if that would be a CLOV catalyst. Maybe we'll see tomorrow. Yeah, we still got a lot of tickers I got to look at. Thank you. We still got 41 people in here. That's amazing. This stream is very, very good. So appreciate it. SOFI pulled back today. Not too bad. It was down 2%, but definitely over the past 2-3 weeks, it's dropped a lot. The hidden bullish divergence is still developing on the daily. It's almost confirmed on the 4-hour. It did break that little first initial bounce at the 0.82. So now, like we talked about last night on stream, the real PCZ of a bullish bout would be the 886 down at around 1540-ish. Same exact opinion from last night. As long as it stays above 1550, I'm still bullish on SOFI. I think SOFI could reverse pretty soon, as long as it holds the mid $15 range, which would be the pattern completion zone of this harmonic. The divergence looks ready to go on the 4-hour. It's developing nicely on the daily. I think we're soon approaching a potential bounce area for SOFI. I think it's maybe days away, maybe a week away. Obviously, I don't really like timing things like that, but I think it's getting there. It's obviously had a nice couple of bounces intraday, but most of them have ended up selling off. So we'll see what this turns into, but really, as long as it can hold the mid 15 range, I do think reversal could be very possible soon. Not financial advice, and again, even if it breaks that, you still have the 1475 support. So there is quite a bit of support between here and 1475. It just depends if the technicals play out or if this continues to drop, you know. Intel is next. Got back above 56. I mean, we've been talking about this for weeks now. 56 is a huge level for Intel. It just continues to go above it, below it, above it, below it. It's kind of hard to tell. It even had a fake out. It broke a demand line and the 200-day moving average, but did somehow create classic bullish divergence on the 4-hour MACD and on the RSI. So now Intel's looking pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, again, if it can stay above 56, that could be great. You know, your next resistance would be 58, and then after that, you got a gap fill to 62. It's been very choppy for the last month. So hopefully you can just start breaking out of this little area. I don't really know what to call it. And we'll see if this can catch up to a lot of other semis that went crazy in June. What else? I know I still have a lot more tickers we got to look at from the first round. So let me see if I missed any other chats. AS says, I think SOFI has another lockup period expiration end of July. I actually haven't looked into that. I definitely will try and remember to tomorrow. But I don't think, the last one, didn't something weird happen with the last one where it went up and then it went like crazy down? And then Wall Street Bets picked it up like one Monday or something. It was interesting, I believe. Tesla, I have no clue on Tesla right now. It had this little bit of a bullish pennant or a symmetrical triangle. It could have been looked at as either. It broke to the downside. Again, just because you call something a bullish pennant just means it has a slightly higher probability of breaking to the upside, but still it just depends on whichever way it breaks, and this ended up breaking to the downside. It came back down to test the 200-day moving average and previous resistance, flip it into a support. It ran back up to the same consolidation area, and now it's just testing it. So it's just kind of in this little mini range between 670 and 700. But it's just, I don't really see much of a pattern or any divergence. I still could see Tesla going either way in the short term. Disney, who was in the stream the night we looked at this? Well, this was, I think, Sunday night we looked at Disney. It might be in the timestamps. We looked at this a few days ago, and it was literally right over here. We were talking about this falling wedge, how all it needed to do was break above 178. It did that, and on the first day it broke above that level. It went from 178 to 184, which is a pretty good move for Disney. It's broken out of a falling wedge now. I think 200 bucks. I think that was an all-time high. You know, 200 bucks is your next major resistance on the daily. Of course, you could use Fibonacci. It hit the 50% retrace today. The 618 would be 189. But yeah, it broke out of a falling wedge. I think above $180 on Disney is bullish. That was your previous resistance and support from earlier this year. Hold above 180, and I actually like Disney. Obviously, there was a better entry area, but still, you just got to hold above this on Disney. ETHUSD is next. There is hidden bullet or hidden bearish divergence on the daily confirmed. I'd say 175 is your next horizontal support. It used to be a resistance. You also have the 200-day moving average at 180. I don't really know how I feel about this. I guess eventually you could get a 4-hour hidden bullish divergence if you look at these little bars. It just looks very weird to me. This is something I'm probably just going to move past. That doesn't mean it can't go up. This thing could go up whenever it wants to go up. All I'm saying is I don't see much of a probability that indicates any sort of you know, move based on technicals to either direction. So it could go either way, you know. DNMR, same thing. I don't really know too much. I mean, it kind of looked like an inverse head and shoulders, never really did much. Maybe it could be looking like a double bottom now if it holds above 22 bucks. But still, you don't have any divergence. That's not a really clear double bottom either. It's not even really you'd want to be seeing a double bottom like over here. You wouldn't be wanting to seeing it like up here. That would just be kind of weird. But if it does decide to ever run, 29.70 or really just 29 bucks is your next major resistance, and then your support is 22 from your lowest back towards the middle of June. We are 5 likes away from 60 likes. What? That's crazy. We haven't hit 60 likes in weeks, I believe. We hit like a crazy amount one day in June. I think we hit 100 likes on one stream like a month ago. We've only hit 100 likes like twice, I think, like ever. One time was in like January or something, I think, and then I think we actually hit it again in June or maybe May. I can't remember. But yeah, 56 likes is definitely above average. So thank you for all the likes tonight. Really appreciate it. Again, I really don't like just saying I don't know, but on a lot of these charts right now, I just don't see any clear formations. You know, on this one, maybe it's a little bit of a flag right over here. I don't see any divergence. I guess 53, as long as you're above that, it's still fine. But it's not really like super clear. Maybe you look at it like this as well. Like a broadening wedge with like a mini downsloping wedge in it, kind of. But I don't really see much divergence. IVR held support. You know, it was down today, but held above 335. It's all about holding 335 on IVR. That's really it. Let me restart my playlist. You just got to continue to hold 335 on IVR. That's really it. I mean, it already did break a demand line, but it still is staying above this, you know, support for the last 2 months at 335. There's not much of a pattern. I don't really see much divergence either. Maybe you could call this class B hidden bullish divergence, about the same low on price with more negative momentum on the second island. But even if you zoom in, that wick over here did make a lower low as well. So it just depends on how you want to look at it, honestly. But I would like to see it hold above 335. That's the most important thing to me. FUBO, I think it looks pretty interesting. This is the area for FUBO. If FUBO could reverse in the short term, I would like to see it here. It's currently back testing the breakout of a mini descending broadening wedge. It's currently right above this 2724 support. It also, on higher time frames, could be creating a right shoulder to a potential inverse head and shoulders. There isn't any divergence on the 4 hour. So yeah, I mean, maybe the 1 hour looks better. No, it kind of looks the same. I'd like to see FUBO hold 2724 tomorrow. A lot of stocks are very important areas for going into tomorrow. You know, CLOV has the 890 level. AMC has the $36 level. FUBO has the $27 level. IVR has that 335 level we were just talking about. And a lot of stocks closed right on their important levels. So we'll see what happens. Tomorrow's going to be a very important technical day. I would like to really see a green day in the market tomorrow. And again, I know I said earlier in the stream, the S&P and the NASDAQ have bearish divergence, but hopefully tomorrow we could get some life back in on mid caps and small caps, because a lot of them are at the areas where I don't know if they're going to bounce here, but I really would like to see them bounce here. A lot of small caps and mid caps are currently testing their major levels. Like even ACB, we talked about testing that $8 level. So tomorrow, I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of scanning during the day. I really want to see how this all plays out tomorrow. But I think tomorrow's going to be a very, very important technical day. I know I just said like 3 times because I mean it. So a red day tomorrow could be a breach of supports on a lot of stocks. A green day tomorrow could be a bounce off historical supports on a lot of stocks. Tomorrow's a huge test. That's it for FUBO. Even BABA is testing the 211. I mean, all these things are just at their major levels. This 211 area on BABA was support back in the beginning of June. It was support in December of 2020. And it was resistance in May of 2018. It's currently testing it again as resistance. It pulled back at that level. I'd like to see BABA close above 211 tomorrow. There is classic bullish divergence pretty much developing on the daily. If BABA can reclaim 211, I like it, because then you actually have classic bullish divergence as well on the MACD and on the RSI. So if BABA can close above 211 tomorrow, if the divergence can continue developing, I think it could be pretty decent. But again, you got to remember it's under it for right now, so we got to wait for the price action to come first for more confirmation. And that's really it for BABA. Nokia. Let me take a look at the chat. I haven't looked at the chat in like 10 minutes. Let me look at the chat. Then I'm going to talk about Nokia, GOGO, Airbnb, RMRK, and then ETWO. Those are the remaining tickers from the first round I still need to look at. All right, let me take a look at the chat. Oh, some Kenny said revived. We should definitely use that word. Yeah, everybody revived me coming into the stream tonight. I wasn't in the best mood, honestly, but I'm in a great mood now. So all of you just made my day better. That's amazing. What else did I miss? A lot of vibes in the chat from the tips. Really appreciate everybody. I know I missed a lot in the chat. Sorry, there's so many takers I had to look at. I was just trying to get them, done. Neutron Flux Lab says, bro, champ, you still live? I straight up grilled chicken and squash and fed 8 people and did the dishes, and you still over here charting for FTM. Yeah, yeah. Probably gonna stay live for another 20 minutes or so. Got some goat emojis from Neutron Flux Labs and the guy, which is the lump. Appreciate it. Some Kenny says, Chef Neutron Flux feeding his fam and then feeding his gains with some champion vibe stream. Gotta love it. One more like until 60 likes. Kevin says, what's the amount of average daily volume on a stock that you will trade? Typically, I want to see it over 1 million average volume, but also it depends on, you know, the price of the stock, right? Because 1 million average volume on a penny stock is not that much in terms of the dollar amount traded. So, you know, it's pretty easy to tell looking at a chart if there is good liquidity, if you don't see gaps on like the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and the daily charts. So yeah, typically for most stocks, because I mainly trade mid caps, I like seeing above 1 million. It's not like a set in stone rule. Sometimes I'll trade things under 1 million average volume. There's just a lot of other things it depends on. So yeah, but like just to give you like a rough answer, 1 million. Yeah, Nokia is next. Hidden bullish divergence on the daily for Nokia. It's in a really good uptrend ever since March 5th when the S&P was at the bottom of a wedge. It's now above 573, which is a pretty important very important historical level. Wow. Resistance, support, 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 support. Very, very big area historically. Above 573, Nokia looks good to me. Next major resistance is 639. There's resistance in 2019 and 2018. Obviously, there were far better entry areas on Nokia. There was hidden bullish, kind of almost, no, never mind. You did not make a higher low here, but it was at 374, which, let's see if there was any importance here. Yeah, this actually was a little bit of a historical area. I mean, regardless, this thing just went from 376 to 588, so entering now, you know, in the past few months, you definitely had better opportunities. I would just like to see it hold above 573. GOGO. Hidden bullish divergence almost confirmed on the daily, MACD, and on the RSI. I don't like how it's under the 200-day moving average. It even back tested it as support. You could see this green line over here. It broke it on July 6th, came under it, and then today it used it as resistance. I really want to see it get back above this area. I don't think this could really be a harmonic on the daily because this kind of just looks like one wave to me. And then, I don't know, even the 6.8, like I hate when a beat retraces at a 0.68 because it's between a 618 and a 786. I mean, you'd really, I think you'd really be stretching it to try and call this a Gartley. I don't know. I think regardless, it made a 786 retrace from your previous swing low to swing high. Almost made a 618. It was a 0.68. The C point is fine. I mean, maybe like a scuffed way to look at it. It just depends on how loose you are with your harmonics. Everybody has their own rulings for that. Typically, I don't like having, you know, Gartleys or 618 retraces above like a 0.65, but it's not too much of a difference. I think the more important thing here is just GOGO getting above the 200-day moving average after it made a 786, roughly a 786 retrace from the previous low to high. So yeah, Airbnb, it's testing a major level, another stock going into tomorrow. It's going to be a pretty telling day tomorrow for a lot of stocks. This 143 level was support back from January of this year. It was the 2-day resistance in May. It flipped back into support in June. And it has been kind of a 3-day support or a 4-day support now, apart from Thursday when the whole entire market pretty much gapped down last Thursday. So you just really want to see it have a good day tomorrow so it can hold above this level. Otherwise, the next major support would be 129 on the daily. There's just not a lot of data on this. RMRK. Candles are very, I don't even know if you can really see this, but they're like very, I don't even know the right word to use. Like, I hope people get what I mean. The candles are very, somebody help me out, sporadic maybe. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but they're all over the place on like, not necessarily how the candles move, but like the ups and the downs. Bar coding, that's a great word. Yeah, bar coding. So I'm gonna try my best here. I mean, this is an OTC. It looks like this 0.0019 level was support over here and over here. So you probably want to hold above that. Otherwise, Then you have 0.0017 as the next area, and then 0.0016. I mean, I don't know how much technicals matter on this. But I guess it's above support for right now. That's really all I could do with that one. I mean, resistance, I guess, would be 0.0028 from this high over here, and even a couple candles from over here. And then after that, maybe around 0.0039 from this high, and this candle high, and this candle open. That's the best I can do on RMRK. ETWO, hidden bullish divergence is possible, but it's not really developing for right now. So what you'd be hoping for here is to bounce off the 200-day moving average, which would in turn allow the daily MACD to start developing hidden bullish divergence again. And if it did bounce off the 200-day moving average, that would be pretty close to a PCZ of a bullish bat as well. A little bit shy of it, but it would, even like this whole entire general area, look, even if it came down to 1056, which would be right around the PCZ, that's the historical area. It was, oh my gosh, wow. It was resistance all throughout over here in pretty much July to December of last year. It became support for a little bit in January. It became resistance again in April of this year. So really this whole entire area, if you can just get a bounce over here within any of this 1050 to 1080 range, I mean, it easily has room back up to 12 bucks. And if it breaks 12, then it could run all the way back up to 14. I mean, this could be a very interesting area, but it depends on getting the bounce. You might just, instead of doing this, you might just do this. You know, again, it's all probability. You might just break under that level, and then I'm not too sure. I mean, then you still have 10 bucks from this support. I don't know if this needs to be a SPAC, but anything's possible. But this is a very interesting area for sure on ETWO. I'll keep it on my watch list. Let me add it. Yeah, we need one more like to hit 60 likes. Some Kenny says, yeah, I used to be a SPAC. Earnings tomorrow. Oh, if there's earnings tomorrow, then that overrides everything. It just depends on how that goes or how people react to that. But you know, hopefully after all the earnings and everything is over with, it could hold above 1050 and eventually run. Gold Miner says, IWM looks headed to 215 to me. Don't know how small caps that have already been crushed will act during that fall. 215. That would be around this demand line over here, so that could make sense. It's definitely possible. I don't know how quick it would get there if it does decide to go drop down there. But yeah, that would crush a lot of small caps even more than they've been crushed this month. But again, you know, just because small caps and mid caps are currently down on the month doesn't mean that they have to go back up. They'll do whatever they want to do. So anything's possible. You have to give importance to both sides, right? They're already down, so of course we're hoping they can bounce, but we saw what happened in the middle of February. They can go down for as long as they want to go down. And yeah, you know, we'll see what happens. I think even before 215, which is quite far away for the short term, I'd say you probably just want to hold above 221, which was your low from June 18th. And then maybe a little bit of support at 219 from over here and over here. So I'll be looking at those levels first though. Yeah. 61 likes, really appreciate it. Thank you for all the likes, all the tips, all the vibes in the chat. Appreciate it, everybody. Amazing stream. I think I might get out of here now. We went like a little bit longer than the usual stream time. How long was I live for? An hour and 15, around the usual. But yeah, you know, for the people who dropped in tickers in the chat in the last like 15 minutes, I'm sorry. I mean, earlier in the stream, you might have missed it, but earlier in the stream I did say don't drop any more tickers in the chat, just because I wanted to see how I felt after that first round. What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to scroll up to when I put those dashes in the chat and see if there's any tickers that I actually know of. If I know of the ticker, I'll look at it. That's the only ones I'm going to be looking at. So I do know about TLRY. What else did I miss? We'll look at CCIV really quickly. We'll look at, what was that, DQ? I don't know what DQ is, but I'll look at it for cheddar freeze for sure. All right, just a few more tickers. We'll look at NNDM as well. Nano Dimension. Okay, so we're just gonna look at these last 4 tickers. I'm not doing anything after these, like, for sure. But these were just a few tickers I missed out from earlier on in the chat. TLRY, hidden bullish divergence developing on the daily. On the MACD, not on the RSI. Yeah, not on the RSI. And on the 4 hour, you got, it looks just like ACB. We were looking at ACB earlier in the stream. It looks very, very similar. That was the wrong. Yeah, you have the daily hidden bullish divergence developing, and then the 4 hour classic bullish divergence, just like ACB. 15, look at that. It was your support back from January of last year, or January of, 2020. It was also your support from April of this year. It was even resistance in March of 2020. You're also above the 200-day moving average. I think anything above 15 on TLRY looks pretty good. The MACD looks really nice as well on both the 4 hour and the daily. In terms of resistance, you got some at 20 bucks from your low in really IPO low, and then from October of 2019, and it was even like a 2-day candle high on June 11th and 14th of this year. And that in turn, let's see, just played it like that. We actually had to trade on TLRY a few weeks ago. I got stopped out, I believe. You get a 3 reward to risk as well. So TLRY is very, very tradable. Just because I'm saying tradable does not mean it will go up for sure. It just means you have bullish divergence on multiple time frames. You're above a historical level. You're above the 200-day moving average, and you get a 3-to-1 reward to risk, charting the historical levels. So, all right, I'm gonna add this one to the watch list as well. Looks very similar to ACB. Why does it say TLRY class 2? Maybe because it's Canadian or something? I don't know. I don't think it used to say that before. That's weird. But yeah, that's how I'd be looking at TLRY for right now. CCIV. I think it still is fine above 24.36. That was the bigger resistance. It even kind of back tested it and bounced off of it. I believe the merger is coming up in like a couple weeks now, or the merger vote is coming up in a couple weeks, I think. I don't see any divergence or any patterns, but it is certainly in an uptrend. Probably you could look at it like this. Maybe you could look at it as a rising wedge, but again, these could always still break up to the upside. You just want to hold above 24.36 on CCIV. DQ. Pretty interesting. This 61 to 64 area is a pretty good support. You also have the 200-day moving average as your support right now. Might be in a little bit of like a downsloping channel, kind of in the middle of it. I don't see much divergence on the daily. But you don't really have it right now. I mean, yeah, I guess it's currently playing out. You had classic bullish divergence towards the end of June. That's already been playing out. I think this one looks pretty good above 61. You just got to continue to hold that. And then final ticker of the night. What song is this? The current one? It has a really weird name. I could type, let me... So the song name is Feb Blue by the last one, so not this one. This one? Let me know again. Yeah, I'll make the bed tomorrow for sure. Need the whole play. This is a random playlist I found on Spotify. Let me try and this. Why does it not say the name? The playlist name is not even showing up. Let's see. I could probably drop the link if I can find it. Alright, so how do I share copy link? Alright, so I dropped the link to this playlist in the chat. Wait, why did... I'm so confused. Alright, for everybody asking for the playlist link, I just dropped it in the chat. It's literally like a non-copyright YouTube lo-fi playlist. I just looked up non-copyright lo-fi on Spotify and I've been using this one, but I still get copyrighted every single stream, so it's not actually non-copyright, unfortunately. And the name of this song is Summertime Love by Lakey Inspired. It's also in that playlist. But honestly, this is a pretty bad playlist. You could probably just look up lo-fi on Spotify and find much better playlists. I just use this one because it's just on my homepage of Spotify and it has been, so it's just like easier. But Nano Dimension, final ticker of the night. I'd say around $6.60 is your support. Really, yeah, around like really the 660 area, from 660 to 670. It was your 670 was your low on around like March 28th, 2019. And then this area became support again this year. So you just want to hold above $6.60. I don't see much of any pattern or any divergence though. Maybe it could be turning into a cipher or shark. You know, if it comes down to the 786, it could be like a cipher. It comes down to the 886 or the 113, it could be a shark. But again, it depends on that 660 level first. But yeah, that'll be it for the tickers tonight. Hope everybody has a great night. Good luck trading tomorrow. Tomorrow's a very, very big day for a lot of technicals on a lot of stocks we looked at tonight. But also we do have that developing bearish divergence on the S&P and the NASDAQ. A lot of conflicting variables, but time will tell. You know, the market is always right at the end of the day. What's meant to happen always happens in the market, or most of the time. There obviously is always going to be some sort of level of manipulation in the market. But for the most part, the market makes its own decisions, and it's up to all of us to try and identify where the next move could be and make money off of it. And when we're wrong, to lose very little. That's the whole entire game. It's all just probability. And yeah, join the Discord. The link's in the description. Thank you for the tips tonight. Thank you for the 61 likes. Thank you for all the support. I'll see you in the Discord, and I'll see you again tomorrow night at 9 p.m. EST. Have a great night. Peace out.